Crawling is now a part of Space Station 14 upstream. What crawling means is the ability to lay prone and crawl around. By default, if you press C, you'll lay down on the floor instantaneously. There's no do after bar or anything. You can also end up in a crawling position by slipping. This will allow you to move around, and if you don't press C, you will automatically stand back up when able. Of course, if you slip and just press C, you'll stay prone. You'll have to do it when the do after bar pops up, but just a little thing worth mentioning. While crawling, you will move 60% slower of your maximum sprint speed. So if you have something like speed boots, you will be able to move faster. If you're wearing heavy armor, you will move slower. So even though you are crawling on the floor, movement speed in this game is still king. You will have the ability to crawl faster. I'm not even going to open up the view variables, see how fast I'm going. As soon as I press the speed boots, very obvious and noticeable speed boost. Why do you want to crawl? Well, that is a great question. Crawling can be very, very beneficial in combat. Crawling requires the user to hover your crosshair or your cursor directly over their sprite. If you shoot past them, in front of them, you will not hit them. And I don't think I need to explain anything here. That is a massive combat advantage because it requires people to be precise in a game where your character may only be a few pixels tall. It asks for quite a lot of aim to trace people crawling around, especially when you are moving around and you can basically just drop shot and keep your momentum going. You will have to accurately trace them or you will not hit them. By default, Space Station 14 features a lot of screen shake. It is 100% by default. If you are trying to mag dump, my crosshair, my mouse, is bouncing a full tile away from where I'm looking. That doesn't actually affect your aim, but it visually does. If you do not lower your screen shake and you are trying to shoot somebody who is crawling, you are going to probably miss every single bullet, as I have experienced firsthand. Another huge advantage of proning is in the fact of its anti-stun combat. This may sound bizarre, but if they have an item in your hand and you get stunned while standing, you will drop the item automatically. However, if you're crawling and you get stunned, you will not drop the item. So if you get shot by Disabler down the hall, you will still have whatever was in your hand before. If you slip, you'll keep the item in your hand if you're crawling. Of course, naturally, if you're crawling, you won't be able to slip on normal surfaces like soap, for example. However, say lube is involved. Lube will make you slip no matter what if you don't have no slips. You can actually crawl through it. You will technically slip, but you won't drop the things in your hand. You can actually still swing and do everything. So if you have to get through a lube pile, just crawl through it rather than slip through it and drop your items like so. Do not do that. If gravity on the station is to fail, you will actually be able to crawl faster than practically any possible speed normally obtained. The reason for this is crawling uses your weightless movement speed, which for non-moth species is pretty fast, but not as fast as 4.5 movement speed. So, for example, if you want to abuse this very hardcore, you are going to be very difficult to hit while you are moving like this. Remember, people have to trace you perfectly, and if you're laying sideways like this, it can be very, very hard to trace a target moving like this with a gun. And if you're running up against somebody like a Juggernaut suit, well, they're actually able to fly around on their side like this in zero gravity. Combat enhancing drugs also do not give you any benefit when you are weightless. So everyone is going to be the same speed if you're not a moth. Things get very, very scary in this situation, specifically if a moth is, say, a Juggernaut or something, or just wearing armor, or is a syndicate. You slide around full speed as a moth, and it's trying to trace this might as well be impossible. You can also get this effect regularly if you just use moon boots. So if you are a scientist, you can just research these and slide around like this and become practically you're never invincible to bullets, but it might as well feel like that. There's also another problem, I would call it, with crawling. Sometimes your sprite can be entirely hidden behind somebody. You could kill somebody and literally drag their body along, and if somebody is trying to click on your sprite, they have to literally pixel hunt in order to shoot you. But if I'm just trying to aim center mass with somebody who's hiding in a dead body, you pretty much can't hit them. As you can see, I'm hitting the Urus mechanics. I'm literally moving my cursor around. I managed to hit the moth underneath a singular time. Technically, moths can have it a little bit worse because I can like see their wing a little bit better. But if you're a small species like a dwarf or a human with less things protruding off your body, it becomes harder to actually click on your sprite. So that's another element of crawling. Also, in situations where, say, there's more like things obstructing a tile like kudzu, you also become impossible to be shot because you literally can't select the sprite. Of course, you can use this to your own advantage and crawl inwards of the kudzu and have to turn it into a melee fight. So that's just another element that I suppose is intended and just something to keep awareness of. I'd rather keep repeating the same topic over and over again. Of course, you can also fly sideways with a jetpack functioning, so you can, again, just have people completely miss you entirely while trying to shoot them in space, even though because you can fly sideways or not sideways, just to showcase it. I'll try to shoot them, and if I aim in front of them or past them, you will miss. Have to aim at them directly, and as you imagine, somebody flying around is going to be tough to hit, and they have the weightless modifier out in space, so good luck. There's, of course, other oddities you could do with crawling, and this one's definitely intended. Normally, you wouldn't have no way of really getting through flaps unless you slipped yourself through it, but now you could just crawl through them like no problem. You can also have a situation where your sprite actually ends up under the flap, and then, of course, flaps also brings the issue of if you lay in specific positions in specific ways, you become completely untargetable, and you would have to go in directly and melee them out. Just again, another thing of crawling. Sometimes your sprite gets hidden. Funnily enough, though, you can actually crawl over tables, but you're technically under it, where in that case, these are fake tables. If you crawl under a table and try to stand up, it'll say there's not enough room, even though your sprite's actually above the table. So obviously that means work can be done on improving this to be in situations where you're visible, literally, because it's a 2D game, and I can see you, but I can't shoot you because I can't click you. Either way, though, this is just to be informative on crawling, trying to keep my own personal opinions out of it, and thank you for watching.